Good morning, everyone. So, for today's discussion, we will be talking about the changing global landscape for 21st century teachers. So, at the end of this discussion, you shall be able to first identify the different changes occurred in the global teaching learning landscape. Second, identify 21st century life and career skills for the learners and teachers. Third and last, you should demonstrate understanding of UNESCO's 4 pillars of learning as these apply to the 21st century. Okay, now this is a typical picture of the changing global landscape and the 21st century skills for teachers. So, we are now in the era of borderless or flat world. Why? It is because of the technology. You can now know the information at a very far place because of technology. Flat world. Barriers have been broken by the new information and communication technology. Okay, so 21st century skills is necessary tools for teachers. Yes, because without these 21st century tools, no teacher can survive. So we have to adapt with the latest demand. For we should be knowledgeable in using technology. And these are the categories of the different changes and developments in the 21st century of teaching and learning. First, the new learning environment. So now, the learning environment has evolved. Next, the new learning content. So there are plenty of new curriculum arise, new processes of learning, and how this will be facilitated. Third is new type of learners. So as you can see and observe, the behaviors of learners has changed today. They are more exposed with the technology because they are the new types of learners. Then, as a teachers, we must also be a new type of teachers. Okay? So, we'll be talking about the new learning environment first. So, it is a place where interaction of the learners among one another with the teacher and the surrounding happen. The interaction of learners, it is usually happening inside the classroom or in the Google Classroom where online learning took place. So, these are the characteristics. So, it is a learner-centered, new spaces and borderless. So, I have mentioned a while ago, new spaces and borderless. So, a student can learn inside his bedroom with using a Zoom or using Google Meet and studying or in interacting with his classmates or his teachers. And enhance opportunity for creativity and innovation and the use of ICT. Now, in the new learning content, the learning environment and explosion of knowledge, content, or subject matter of learning has been modified. So it is due to the current changes, the unstoppable change. So learning content must also be modified. Okay, so these are the new learning content and these are the characteristics. First, integrated and interdisciplinary. Okay, so example of this is when the teacher or when we teaching science, we can integrate English by introducing some grammar and some vocabularies. Second, the demand-driven. So emphasis on learning tools and how to retrieve knowledge. And lastly, the balance and scientific, technological, cultural, and global local concepts. Okay, so now let's proceed to the new processes of learning and how this will be facilitated. So various processes of learning evolve with human intervention of teachers and peers, as well as non-human intervention or artificial intelligence or the AI. So ways of learning. We have here the face-to-face. So most recently, we are now implementing the face-to-face in some schools, wherein learners and teachers are confined in the same learning space, which is the classroom. And we also have here the distance learning also is occurring nowadays. It can be synchronous or asynchronous. Now, we can see synchronous, that is the use of technology. Yes, you can meet your teacher online, or you can do your assignment or your lessons offline or online. Okay, then we have also the distance modalities facilitated through face-to-face or distance learning. Also, we have here the modular and the face-to-face and experiential and lifelong learners are immersed into a real-life situation. So now, we'll be talking about the new types of learners, okay? As a future teacher, we have to know what kind or what types of learners are you going to meet in the field or in the future. So, the new types of learners or the breed of learners does not have age boundaries. So, learners maybe are informal or formal settings. So, the new types of learners, a confident person. They are now more confident than before. They think independently and critically and communicate effectively because they are so exposed in the social media. So self-directed and who questions, reflect and take responsibility for his or her learning. Some are concerned citizens, informed about the world and local affairs. And they are also a member of a new generation. Pop culture, different ways of thinking and responding. Okay, so life and career skills are immersed in schools as part of a learning outcomes. Okay, so life and career skills, flexibility and adaptability. So learners adapt the various rules, responsibilities, and schedules. They can easily adapt. They can easily adjust to the different rules and responsibilities. And they have self-initiative and self-direction. Demonstrate life and career skills. Goals are set and managed by themselves. So, social and cross-cultural skills. Life and career skills require learning to respect cultural differences and work effectively with others. So, we have here productivity and accountability. So, able to produce results, respect team and cooperation and leadership and responsibility. It is very important life skill that a learner be able to use interpersonal and problem-solving skills with integrity and ethical behavior to influence others. As it is said that our youth is the future leaders of our country. So we must develop them to have that they'll be able to get life and important career skills. So now, we have here the new type of teachers. So teachers, for the 21st century learners, teach within the context of new environment, new content, knowledge, and new processes of teaching and learning. So these are the characteristics of the new types of teachers. Clear standards and responsibility use pedagogies. So skillful in the integration of ICT in pedagogy, skillful in the use of assessment, great understanding of local and global culture, skillful in action research. So this is very required, especially when you are applying in the DepEd. You are required to make an action research. So skillful in action research. Practice the core value of inspiring teachers. And lastly, is to develop life and career skills for the 21st century and beyond. Okay? So now, we will be talking about the UNESCO or the United Nations Educational, Scientific, and Cultural Organization. Okay, in here, we base the 4 pillars of learning. Okay, UNESCO is a specialized agency of the United Nations or the UN aimed to promoting world peace and security through international cooperation in education, art, sciences, and cultural. So these are the 4 UNESCO's 4 pillars of learning. So the 4 pillars of education all started with the 2 reports entitled Learning the Treasure Within, also known as the Delors Report in 1996 of the International Commission of Education for the 21st Century. It was published by the UNESCO and Learning to be otherwise known as the FAIR Report in 1972. Okay? So the report itself provides new insight into education. And for the 21st century, it stresses that each individual must be equipped to seize learning opportunities throughout life, broaden one's knowledge, skills, and attitude to adapt a changing, complex, and independent world. Okay, so the first pillar of learning is the learning to know. It implies learning how to learn by developing one's concentrations, memory skills, and ability to think. The acquisitions and development of knowledge and skills that are needed to function in the world. Skills under this pillar of learning include literacy, numeracy, and critical thinking. So learning to know. That is the first pillar of learning. Next is, how is literacy defined? The definition of literacy also evolved. Take note here, in 1958, UNESCO defined literate as one who can, with understanding, both read and write, only for her everyday life. And that is the meaning in 1958. And in 1970, the meaning broadened. I just said the functionally literate person is one who can engage in all activities to use reading, writing, and calculation as observed. In 1958, only read and write. So in 1970, there is a read, write, and calculate. And in 2000, defined as the ability to read and write with understanding a simple statement related to one's daily life. So in 2000, there is a read, write, and understand. And in 2003, UNESCO defined the theories as the ability to identify, understand, interpret, create, communicate, and compute using printed and writing materials associated in varying contexts. As you can see, even the definition of the literacy has evolved, okay? So second pillar of learning is the learning to do. Put into practice from skills to competence and adapt and change. So it is an acquisition of knowledge that would enable individuals to effectively participate in the global economy and society. So learning to do. That is why schools now are developing skills that are often linked to the occupational success, vocational and technical skills, leadership, and management competencies. So the fourth pillar of learning is learning to live together. Awareness and understanding, appreciation, cooperate, and resolve conflict. So the development of social skills and values that enables individuals and societies to live in peace and harmony. So it is very important to live together. Respect and concern for others, social and interpersonal skills, and one appreciation of the diversity among people. Okay? So the third pillar of learning is the learning to be. So it is the phenomena of development, life, and human life. So it involves here the activity that promote holistic personal development. So body, mind, spirit for all around, and complete person. So holistic. Okay? Learning to be. Cultivating oneself analytical and social skills, creativity, and personal discovery. So, in UNESCO's Educational for Sustainability Development Initiative in 2012, presented a conceptual framework for ongoing lifelong learners. The fifth pillar for CDE is learning to transform oneself and society. So this is a very challenging pillar, learning to transform. So working toward a gender-neutral, non-discriminatory society, integrating sustainable lifestyle for ourselves and others. So being respectful on the earth and life in all its diversity, promoting democracy in society where peace prevails. Okay, so that will be all our discussion for today. Do you have any questions, clarifications about our topic? You can ask me now, anything. Okay, so if not, I want you to get a 1/2 crosswise because we will have an activity this morning. So here is the instruction. Please read it carefully and understand each question for you to be able to answer. Okay? You can start now. Time's up. Pass your paper. Thank you. So next meeting class, I want you to study all our discussion for today because we will having an oral recitation about our discussion today. Okay? So thank you so much for listening. Class dismissed.